not as a woman, but as a leader.
Is there anyone out there in the world see the need we have here? Women of Papua New Guinea, children here. Is there anyone out there that I can call for help?
The political culture in this country is male-dominated, and it has no room for women whatsoever.
We are the women of this nation, we are the mother of this nation, and we are the foundation of this nation.
Papua New Guinea is the second largest country in the South Pacific. It is renowned for its rich culture and biodiversity. With a population of 7.2 million, it boasts more than 800 different languages. Since its independence in 1975, Papua New Guinea has had the opportunity to create a democratic and inclusive political environment for all citizens. However, progress toward female participation and representation in the National Parliament has been painfully slow. In 2012, 135 women contested the national elections, and only 3 women won seats in the Parliament. They represent a female population of over 3 million, compared to the 3 million men represented by 108 male members. Despite reaching a historical high of 2.7% of female representation, it is lagging well behind the Pacific average of 3.5% and the global average of 18.7%. This shows the failure of Papua New Guinea's government to provide adequate political infrastructure to close this gender gap, ease the struggle of female politicians, and increase women's involvement in decision-making roles.
UN Women held a diagnostics on the 2012 elections, and it was very interesting because some 30 women candidates met for several days to analyse where they were within the political arena and what was their situation in the elections.
The election process was very unfair. Common roll was not up to date. People couldn't find their names. They had to walk from one polling booth to another, and in the end they gave up, lining up, queuing up, only to find your name is not there.
I was not able to vote because my name was not on the list.
I didn't vote because my name was not on the common roll.
Many of our people, especially the young people, didn't have the chance to vote. Like when they went to the booths where they're supposed to vote, they were telling us that our names were not in the electoral books, so we couldn't vote.
A lot of names would have been left out if the persons themselves, the law is very clear on enrollment. It's up to the individual to come forward to make sure they are on the electoral roll. And that opportunity we have given to all the citizens.
The common roll is the biggest problem that is the issue in the country in the 2012 election. They were using the 2007 updated common roll. When the 2012 election was coming, all the councillors of the respected LNGs were given the task with the CAPs to go out and update the common roll before the 2012 election, but that never took place.
According to the NGO Transparency International, the last elections were far from being fair and free, as stated by the International Parliamentary Union. This non-government organisation reported that at least 21% of this election was biased, hence making the results unacceptable for an electoral process that ought to express the will of the people.
When it comes to the counting room, I tell you, this is nightmare. They pay the counting officials, they pay the returning officers, and your votes are being swapped. Security forces are paid. I'm an ex-police officer. I know what it is like there.
We need to have people who are actually using money to actually run for elections, like bribery. they need to be arrested and charged. You know, it's public knowledge. Everybody knows about it. No politician has been charged. But they have been flushing money around. Everybody knows about it. That's why the election is not fair, because you are not able to actually nominate a person of your choice, because money is a contributing factor to your vote being casted.
We are standing there and money is dispersed right in front of people. The money is dispersed and people see, but because there are also uniformed police around, and they don't say anything, everybody just keeps quiet. Nobody can say a word.
Na money na something material, something give na. Or no give no material. No quality na education blow man or saw blow man. Or some na just like sister blow me. Me yet me sabotim na. Or some blow mammal sabotim na. Mula me got us all money be any more money got or some car na. All got some good house. Na all got some money long na. Kind of same old ben.
You can be a very good candidate. You believe in what you're going to campaign about. Your platforms and stuff like that are sure real, except that you can go and campaign, and 3 candidates that come later, they're giving out vehicles to certain communities. They're giving out containers of food to people out there. And what's your really nice campaign and the passion and the belief that you have in being a woman? What is a campaign to 100 candidates going to be flashed around? Bang, out it goes.
Women candidates expressed their concerns about the strong presence of gender-based violence during the elections. According to statistics, 1 in every 3 women in Papua New Guinea will experience a form of this violence in her lifetime, which creates numerous obstacles for the female candidates and voters alike.
Gender-based violence is definitely a problem in Papua New Guinea, and a problem that has increased. And so undoubtedly, if it's in the society as a whole, it will display itself within the election process.
When women do not vote for the candidates that their husbands are for, women get bashed up. And also, it is women do not have their choice. They do not freely exercise their freedom of choice to vote for whoever candidates they want.
Women were all controlled. I don't think women made their own choice on their own vote. That's what I saw. The reason being, everybody getting in groups and the men calling the shots. Group of women, you are our team. Go and vote for them. Here's your $50 when you finish.
For the women, there was no support. And it was a big challenge. And just so painful to see the women struggling to voice out the cry for the whole country.
The prevalence of sexual violence is particularly worrying, given that Papua New Guinea is facing high rates of HIV/AIDS, with women and girls being disproportionately affected, accounting for 60% of the population living with the disease.
They marry nothing. What will she do? She's not made to be a politician. Women cannot get up there. They are made to be in the kitchen. They are made to be in the bedroom. They are just made to, for us men to use. That's the kind of mentality they have. So I had to break those barriers.
A major obstacle to democracy is the widespread, deeply rooted discrimination against women. The Commonwealth Observer Group strongly emphasises the need to establish a legal framework and other measures to address the uneven playing field for women in politics.
In my own polling place, everybody went and lined up. They said, Barbara, you come and mark off 1 for yourself, and 2, 3 we will give it to other candidates that we have got money and other things from. And I said, I will not do that. This is my first time to contest an election, and I am from this little polling place or rest house, and I want all of you to go and line up and vote freely. I will not do that because I advocate for good governance, and I will not break my own principles. And yeah, so everybody lined up and they said, oh, Barbara doesn't want to get the vote, so we'll give it away.
There are candidates that will campaign in a way, I actually face that, oh, it's not time for women to run now. It's not time for women to get into parliament now. It's not yet their time.
And I was faced with candidates saying that. And I would get up there on stage and say, it is time for women to go into parliament. It is time that women and men collectively work together to come up with policies that will cater for women, children, youth, and marginalized grouping. So you tell me, when is the right time for women to get in there?
The stereotypes affecting the status of women in Papua New Guinea are a major concern. Patriarchal attitudes and customs such as polygamy, bride price, and traditional vows of big men reflect women's unequal status in many areas of private and public life.
Culture is one impediment, or it's one of the biggest impediments to allowing women to take part in decision-making areas or positions. Say, for instance, my brother died, and when it came to making decisions, they would say, no, you have no say in it because you are just a female. You are married out. You should not have any say in what happens because them culture, them custom blow me blah.
In our custom, we don't recognize women as their leaders.
Because of our Melanesian society, they are thinking that men is the more power or something. Now, all putting merry-go-downs. Even this whole family stuff, yeah, I'm over outline blame all stuff. But all no, who's our land? All like him, old man, all like him, power, old man, low is handing. Now, this la Maria, all come say to him.
Because women still come back and take their place behind the man. The woman allows the man to go ahead in this culture.
People did not vote for me because they think that a woman cannot do much.
When you look at the outcomes of elections since independence, it's clear that the system is stacked against women. Because if it wasn't stacked against women, they would be more electorally successful. So in a country where virtually the day a girl child is born, she has less opportunity in just kind of nurturing, upbringing, in kind of education that she has access to, leadership positions within the village, and then going up to local level, provincial level and national level, her opportunities are less than her male counterparts. So by the time you get to national leadership, the women are way behind.
Does this mean that the UN and other organizations, do they perceive our gender roles within the country as sort of being wrong, or our culture as being wrong?
I think we're trying to come from a good place, not from a bad place. And I don't think that we're here to say your cultures are wrong. I think we're here to support human rights. And if it means dying in childbirth when that can be avoided, or if it means avoiding being murdered by somebody because of your gender, then that can be avoided.
The legal codes we inherited on colonial times were patriarchal, patrilineal codes. There was no such thing as feminism in Western society when Western society came into this nation. And there's been some interesting research done by some of our female scholars who are saying what we're seeing now is in fact a result of the patriarchal, patrilineal society that came in here in colonial times and superimposed on something that appeared completely patriarchal. But I think it's time for us to take ownership of saying what is happening in our society, and we have to design the responses.
It is the first time in history that Papua New Guinea has 3 women in the parliament. This, however, was no easy battle.
Women especially had to go through 2 or 3 times, maybe 10 times harder than actually male candidates.
One of the biggest challenges for women campaigning in the 2012 elections was logistics and transport. The rugged and diverse landscapes of Papua New Guinea make it hard for candidates to reach some provinces. Women vying for these positions are not equipped with resources such as 4-wheel drives, boats or helicopters.
The disadvantaged districts where I was supposed to go, I have to go by chopper. I didn't have the money to reach out by chopper. And the people did not give me the vote because they said, we want to see your face. Exactly, they want to see who you are. They want you to talk to them in person.
We voted for those who stand up and express themselves, where we got interest on their platform.
The female candidates' campaigns were generally poorly run. Most candidates lacked a sufficient understanding of what a campaign for a seat in national parliament might entail. Most had insufficient funds and inadequate campaign strategies. The amount spent on election contests varied widely. The lowest was 5,000 kina, and the greatest reported was just over 300,000.
We have found that there are various areas that women still need help on and assistance from the UN. And some of these areas include training on their leadership skills, ways to design their campaign programs or outreach or strategy, and how can women remain relevant to gain support from the community, where the challenge they face is not only the cultural barrier, but campaign financing, where they lack a lot out of.
The biggest challenge was inadequate financing. Political parties didn't come to us strong. I think one of the basic problems about us is that we're not with the political parties. We wait till the bells ring and then we decide, yes, I'm going to go to that political party and they'll support me. And you are in for a shock because they're not going to give you the money. They'll give it to you in tranches, small bits for one particular activity, and then you wait, and in the meantime your opponents are gathering momentum while you are still waiting for finance to come. So you've lost momentum already. So your popularity also goes down.
Find the party did support candidates, but you will find one or two will not be too happy, and they will most often say that they funded their own, little things like transport and stuff like that. But the party did support them despite the constraints that the party was going through at that time.
I had to use my own savings to get, bank loan for 50,000. Now I'm in street, and the party will never refund me with that money. So this is a big concern now with funding.
Financial is an important aspect of candidates' application to be endorsed by our party. I mean, if you got 10 grand, we'll give you another 20 grand or 30 grand, We don't accept guys that come in and say, I've got nothing, can you endorse me? No. Unfortunately, we don't do that.
If the candidate is dead serious, he has about 500,000 kina in his account to play up with for the campaign period and all that kind of stuff, then maybe like 250,000, you put it aside for media coverage. For an example, the owner of March Girls, who's the governor for Central, if you see him and his success, it all draws down to one, his popularity and money, not in a bribery sense, but on a professional approach to media organizations, having to get his story out, his platform, paying for airtime and what do they call it, print space or what, commercials.
The male candidates knew how to engage with the media for their benefit, that's why they're always getting media coverage.
And those who've been been running in that system for some time had already picked up the difference, and that the media was the tool.
UN Women sponsored a national media campaign to help raise awareness on women's rights and need for equal participation in decision making, but there were still greater challenges for the women candidates. Late preparation brought several consequences, such as low financial resources, lack of support from political parties or family members, and no media coverage.
There's a couple of workshops run by UN and OSAID with the women candidates. And for those of us who have attended those workshops, we make contact with those women candidates, and we were able to get their contacts. So when they were doing their campaign and during the election, we were able to call them up. But like my colleagues have said, for them to call us up and give their stories and what they're doing during their campaign and all that is so hard. I don't know why.
But sometimes I've seen women, not seen up, said it all the time instead. They go and they talk about political parties not helping them or their disadvantage. But I see that they're not in a political party. They only come out just before the election and said, I'm a candidate.
Because of the timing factor, there was not enough time for me to go and source funds from even the parties.
I felt really sorry. I saw women running around last minute looking for political parties to endorse. I saw Nick was surrounded by a group of women, and I felt really sorry for these women and for the party, because we know how would the party have the resources to support them at the last minute.
We women leaders came out late to do awareness. I especially came out late in the sense that I was very busy with other activities.
Everywhere I went, people respected me, they accepted me. But most of the time, the people would cry and tell me, Barbara, why did you come very late to contest? You should have prepared, you should have come back 3 years earlier to prepare yourself to contest. We didn't know you were going to contest. So we have already pledged our support to other candidates.
When I told my family, they already had their one already made up for the male candidate. So when I went there, they said, you could have made yourself known earlier. So that's one of the failures there. But anyway, they said, it's never too late. We will still support you in your 2017 standing.
Political parties constantly emphasise the importance of broad appeal to a successful candidate. Female politicians often participate in women's advocacy groups where they gain invaluable skills. However, they still lack experience in leadership roles in many sectors of society.
The most important things we look for is people of high integrity, honesty. Secondly, they must have had some public experience, maybe qualifications as well.
To stand for election, you must have done a lot of groundwork. So we look at people who have done the groundwork, homework for maybe 10 years, at the least 5 years.
One of the criteria used by most of the parties that were present was to have the candidates must be popular. They're known by the community and by the people. And if it were to be endorsed by the party executives or the council, they know that that particular candidate is a very popular candidate in the electorate that candidate is endorsed, be they woman or man.
The women themselves have got to align themselves now in this downtime with a political party so that they're involved in the fundraising of the political party, they're involved in the decision making of the political party to be able to open doors for more membership of women, youths, people with disabilities in the community to actually come in and be part of the extension of the party.
Another consideration for the women candidates was consulting with family members and clan prior to running for electoral roles.
Because we have a Kukurai system, or the chief system we have, it's very strong in my province. But they also see men and women as equal in Kukurai system. If you're a daughter who is the firstborn in the clan, you are a chief, and I am a born chief. Also because I come from a Kukurai family, and they see you as, and they also respect you. My father is a paramount chief, and when I had an intention of coming for the election in 2012, that was my idea. And I shared that idea with my father, first of all, and he agreed. He agreed for me to stand for the election.
Because she's my mother, I cannot repay her for all that she's done in my life. She needed some assistance. I helped her with my two-wheeler Hilux. I gave it to her and said, you can use that and run around and do your campaigning.
Currently, we are having 2.7 of women representation in the National Parliament. It's good compared to the previous 8th Parliament. But when you look at how many men do we have in the Parliament, then there is some kind of, we may need some kind of legislation to uplift women to compete favorably with men within the parliament. So I think that remains a challenge. We need to have some legislations which are not yet there to ensure that women, move forward and they're represented and they're supported up to some time. And then if they gain, and then of course these can be reviewed and possibly even removed. But at this time we need that.
In November 2011, women leaders with the support from the United Nations lobbied to pass the Equality and Participation Bill to reserve seats for women in Parliament. This effort was to no avail, as the government decided to put the 22 reserved seats reform on hold. Hence, closing the door to many female politicians looking to secure fair representation in the National Parliament.
We're just debating the issue of whether we should allow women some space in Parliament. This is not the organic law. This
Thus, the system continues to throw impediments every step along the way for women trying to gain experience in the political arena of Papua New Guinea. These types of measures, if passed, may contribute to create an environment of justice and gender equality among Papua New Guinea's population. It would help to break deep-rooted traditions and stereotypes that prevent women from full participation in the democratic system of the country.
We are a signatory to CEDAW. We are a member of the Commonwealth of Nations. We are a member of the United Nations. We're a signatory to the International Conference on Population and Development. We could go on. And all of these documents, we have signed off committing to increasing the number of women in Parliament. If we go to the French nations, now our neighbouring Pacific nations, if we go to the French Polynesian Parliament and in New Caledonia, it's 50-50, parity. They're not mucking about with 30%. They've got 50-50. And it seems to be working. They're Pacific cultures, but it's become accepted in those Pacific cultures. And I believe that if we just keep forcing the issue, it will become accepted.
Right now, we don't have that support on the floor. We did have that support through Dame Carol Kiru. But with the 3 women there, we haven't had any noise from them, except in some instances there's been a public statement made by one of the members of parliament, female, that she will not support the 22 seats. But I think legislation is very important. We need to legislate for temporary special measures to allow women, high visibility for women to get on the floor, present themselves so that the voters and the community can see that women can be able to contribute meaningfully.
And we campaign for this 22 women seat, bring them in, get the legislation passed and we bring them in. But it's not permanent. We can just say it goes for like 5 terms or 6 terms. And then within that time, we organize our women and we get our women to gain confidence and see what's involved in politics, and also to indicate to the men that we are not here to compete with men. We are here standing just like you. You have interest for developing the nation. We also have interest for developing the nation. We make 50% of the population, so we are also responsible for what happens in the country too.
We want to create that core group of champions, male champions, and even female champions who can go out there and say, look, we need to do things differently as men or as women.
I support the idea of women actually running for election, because for too long we've had men in politics, not seen any change in this country. It would be nice to see women and see what they can be able to contribute in relation to national development.
If more women get in the parliament, that's where the confidence is. Like last time there's only 1 woman, but this new election here, there's 3 women altogether in. The number seems to be increasing.
Unlike the past elections, you say 10 years ago, women didn't have that privilege of actually standing and actually being out there campaigning. They had to stand behind the men. But 2012 was totally different. There were women who were campaign managers of particular candidates, and they were out there campaigning for those candidates. Also, they contributed to a lot of decisions. And I think our society is gradually appreciating the fact that women can do better and can contribute better than only male.
We may need to bring new blood on board, new women, young women to come up and begin taking the lead, becoming part of this, and we mentor and nurture them to become leaders. So if we can bring in this new blood and begin working with them and nurturing them, possibly even lead up to the 2017 elections, they could also bring something valuable into this agenda.
I'd see myself as a possible candidate in the future because I would want to help my people. Like, if we look around now, like the government is not providing more for our people, and I'd want to make a change for this country.
UN Women would like to see more and more women taking part in the decision-making life of the country. And we believe that what you can do is to be a citizen that knows his or her right and votes consciously, and a leader that knows what they stand for and how they can make improvements for the men and women and boys and girls of the country.
To the women of Papua New Guinea, to the men of Papua New Guinea, to the voters in Papua New Guinea, give women a chance. You have not seen the power within. You have not seen the decisions they make. But in PNG right now, we need women to get into parliament so they can work hand in hand. For me, I believe in working hand in hand. It's equal partnership. It's equal participation. That's all we need in parliament. But we can't do that. There can't be any equal partnership and equal participation in parliament if we can't vote our women into parliament.